In the quiet, heavily guarded halls of the International Atomic Energy Agency headquarters in Vienna, a digital counter metaphorically clicks forward. Each tick represents another gram of highly enriched uranium produced by Iran. Just months ago, in early 2025, inspectors confirmed a chilling milestone. Iran now possesses enough uranium enriched to 60% purity to, if enriched further, create several nuclear weapons. This is not a distant threat. It is not a theoretical problem for future generations. This is a stark reality unfolding before our very eyes. The material for a bomb, the most dangerous substance on Earth, is now a matter of public record in a region already defined by its volatility. This isn't just a number on a report, it's a flashing red light on the dashboard of international security. The story begins not with a bang, but with the steady hum of centrifuges spinning deep underground. These machines, multiplying in number and sophistication, are at the heart of the crisis. They take natural uranium and enrich it, a process necessary for both civilian nuclear power and, at much higher levels, for nuclear weapons. For years, the world watched, debated, and negotiated, hoping to keep this process in check. But the guardrails have come off. What does a nuclear threat truly mean? It is more than just the existence of a single bomb. It is a fundamental shift in the global order. The destructive power of one nuclear weapon is almost beyond comprehension. It can instantly obliterate a city, kill hundreds of thousands of people, render the land uninhabitable for generations due to radioactive fallout. The images from Hiroshima and Nagasaki remain a permanent, horrifying scar. The threat is the possibility, however remote, that such devastation could be unleashed again, whether by deliberate act, miscalculation, or accident. It is the ultimate form of terror, held in the hands of fallible human beings. The danger extends far beyond a single detonation. A new nation joining the nuclear club changes the security landscape. This is the core of proliferation. If Iran acquires a nuclear weapon, Saudi Arabia, Turkey, this could trigger a nuclear arms race in the Middle East. Imagine a world with multiple neighboring countries, deep-seated historical grievances, ongoing proxy wars, all with their fingers on a nuclear button. To understand how we arrived at this precipice in late 2025, we must look back at the last 5 years. The story is one of escalating steps, each a direct response to a preceding action. The critical turning point was the United States' withdrawal from the Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action in 2018. In response, Iran began a strategy of what it called strategic patience. But as crippling sanctions were reimposed and its economy buckled, that patience wore thin. Starting in 2019, Iran began to systematically and openly breach the limits set by the deal. The first breaches were minor. Iran exceeded the cap on its stockpile of low-enriched uranium, a sharp increase in Iran's stockpile from 2020 to 2025. Then, it began enriching uranium to a slightly higher purity, just beyond the 3.67% limit allowed by the deal. Each step was announced publicly, a deliberate signal to the world. But as the years passed, the steps became leaps. By 2021, following the assassination of a top nuclear scientist, Iran's parliament passed a law mandating a dramatic acceleration of the program. This led to the start of enrichment at 20% purity, a significant jump that dramatically shortens the time needed to reach weapons-grade levels. Then came the move to 60% purity. For the United States, the Iranian nuclear program presents an intractable foreign policy dilemma, a problem with no easy solutions. Every potential path is laden with risk. The primary American interest is clear: to prevent Iran from acquiring a nuclear weapon. This has been a consistent goal across multiple presidential administrations, regardless of political party. A nuclear-armed Iran would directly threaten key U.S. allies in the region, Israel, Gulf Arab states. It would also endanger tens of thousands of American troops stationed across the Middle East, placing them under a new and terrifying nuclear shadow. The stakes for American national security could not be higher. One side of the dilemma is diplomacy. The United States led the international effort that produced the 2015 JCPOA, believing that a verifiable diplomatic agreement was the best way to peacefully resolve the crisis. However, the U.S. withdrawal in 2018 demonstrated the fragility of such deals. The failed attempts to revive the deal in 2021 and in 2024 have only deepened the pessimism. On the other side of the dilemma is the military option. The mantra that all options are on the table is a familiar refrain from Washington. This implies the threat of military strikes to destroy or set back Iran's nuclear facilities. The Iran nuclear crisis is, not a distant problem confined to the Middle East. Its shockwaves are honestly felt in capitals across the globe: Beijing, Brussels. For European nations, the stakes are both geographic and economic. An unstable, nuclear-armed Middle East is, well, right on their doorstep. A major conflict there would trigger a massive refugee crisis, far exceeding the scale of what was seen during the Syrian war. It would also cause a catastrophic disruption to global energy supplies. The Strait of Hormuz is a narrow waterway through which a significant portion of the world's oil passes. Iran could close the strait in a conflict. That would send oil prices soaring and plunge the global economy into recession. For major powers like Russia and China, the crisis is a complex geopolitical chessboard. Both are signatories to the JCPOA and historically favored diplomacy. They have strong economic and strategic ties with Iran, yet neither truly wants a nuclear-armed Iran. For Israel, an Iranian nuclear weapon is viewed as a threat to its existence, given hostile rhetoric from Tehran. Israeli leaders have repeatedly said they will not allow Iran to get a bomb, implying willingness to act unilaterally. For Sunni Arab states of the Gulf, led by Saudi Arabia, an Iranian bomb would shift the regional balance of power. It would validate fears about Shia Iran's hegemonic ambitions. This has led to a quiet realignment, with some Arab states finding common cause with Israel. There is, a palpable sense of urgency surrounding Iran's nuclear program in the fall of 2025, and it's really crucial to understand why this moment is different from previous crises. The key concept here is breakout time. That's the time it would take Iran to produce one bomb's worth of weapons-grade uranium, which means enrichment to 90% or more if it actually decided to do so. A decade ago, under the JCPOA, that breakout time was estimated to be about a year, which gave the world a pretty comfortable buffer to detect and respond to any such move. But today, that buffer has basically vanished. With Iran's large stockpile of 60% enriched uranium, the technical breakout time is now measured in days, not months or years. This dramatic reduction has, fundamentally changed the strategic calculation for everyone involved. It means that the window for a diplomatic or even a military response has shrunk to almost nothing. In the past, the international community could rely on IAEA inspectors to provide an early warning. If Iran started enriching to higher levels, alarms would sound, and world powers would have months to act. Now, Iran could potentially produce the fissile material for a bomb before an emergency meeting of the UN Security Council could even be convened. This near-zero breakout time creates a permanent high-stakes crisis, a hair-trigger situation where a single miscalculation could be catastrophic. Furthermore, the nature of the program itself has become more opaque. In a direct challenge to the international community, Iran has systematically restricted access for IAEA inspectors over the past few years. Monitoring cameras at key facilities like the centrifuge workshop in Karaj have been removed. Inspectors have been denied access to certain sites and have had their movements restricted. This means that even if Iran hasn't made the political decision to build a weapon, it's, blinding the world to the preliminary activities that would be necessary. This lack of transparency fuels suspicion and increases the risk of a preemptive military strike based on incomplete or misinterpreted intelligence. The final piece of the puzzle is the advancement of Iran's expertise. This is the one element that just can't be negotiated away or destroyed by an airstrike. A generation of Iranian scientists and engineers has now mastered the entire nuclear fuel cycle. They've designed, built, and operated increasingly advanced centrifuges. They have experience handling uranium at very high enrichment levels. Even if every single facility were destroyed tomorrow, this human knowledge would remain. This intellectual capital means Iran's program is now irreversible in a way it simply wasn't a decade ago. It has crossed a threshold of knowledge, making the current moment a true point of no return. If the current trajectory continues, what does the future look like? We have to confront the possible outcomes, however grim they might seem. The first and most direct path is that Iran develops and tests a nuclear weapon. That would trigger an immediate and severe international crisis. The United States and its allies would impose the most punishing sanctions imaginable, effectively cutting Iran off from the global economy. Israel, seeing its red line crossed, might launch a military strike. This could ignite a full-scale war across the Middle East. A second, more subtle but equally dangerous future is a near-bomb scenario. The nuclear threshold, the Japan model. Iran possesses the materials, technology, and expertise to assemble a weapon in weeks or days, but refrains from actually building or testing one. Permanent nuclear ambiguity, greater regional influence, a powerful deterrent, while avoiding the full international backlash of an overt test, a new, deeply unstable Cold War across the Middle East. This threshold status would almost certainly trigger a wave of proliferation. Saudi Arabia has said, if Iran gets a bomb, it will get one too. The kingdom has the financial resources to buy technology or even a ready-made weapon. A domino effect. Other powers like Turkey and Egypt feel compelled to follow. Despite the bleak outlook, the door to diplomacy is not yet fully closed, though it is closing fast. A return to the original 2015 JCPOA is now widely seen as impossible. Iran's nuclear program has advanced so far beyond the limits of that agreement that the old framework is obsolete. The breakout time is too short. The advanced centrifuges are too numerous. The stockpile of highly enriched uranium is just too large. Any new agreement would have to be more for more, meaning Iran would have to accept more stringent, long-term restrictions in exchange for more significant and sustainable sanctions relief from the West. Crafting such a deal would be an act of extraordinary statesmanship. For Iran, it would mean agreeing to ship its entire stockpile of highly enriched uranium out of the country, dismantle thousands of advanced centrifuges, accept a highly intrusive, anytime, anywhere inspections regime that extends for decades. This would be a difficult concession for a leadership that has staked its legitimacy on defying the West and advancing its nuclear prowess. It would require a strategic decision from the highest levels in Tehran that the economic benefits of reintegration into the world are worth the sacrifice of their nuclear leverage. The biggest obstacle remains the profound and venomous lack of trust. We stand at a crossroads. The facts are clear. The danger is present. The crisis over Iran's nuclear program is not a theoretical exercise or a distant regional squabble. It is a global challenge with the potential to redefine our world and unleash conflict and proliferation that could prove impossible to contain. The hum of centrifuges in Fordow, the hum of centrifuges in Natanz, that hum should concern every citizen. It's the sound of a fuse being lit. We cannot afford to be complacent. We cannot afford to look away. The time for passive observation is long past. This is not a call for war. It's the opposite. Recognize the gravity of the moment so we may find a path away from conflict. An informed public is the essential foundation for wise policy. Demand clarity and honesty from our leaders. Smart diplomacy, relentless diplomacy, creative diplomacy. Diplomacy that engages but is clear-eyed about the risks. Support international institutions, support the IEA, insist their access and integrity be respected. The clock is ticking, louder than ever. The time for vigilance is now.